Hi, welcome to Palo TV. I'm Steve Roitstein, and you may be wondering why you're looking at a dishwasher on what is supposed to be an instructional video on how to do some audio editing using Pro Tools first. You'll find out in a minute. If you like the channel and you like the content that's being uploaded, go ahead and subscribe. Click the little bell, and you'll get a notification when something new is uploaded. This is a video for my Sound Design 1 class, but if you're not in the class, and even if you don't attend Miami Dade College, if you like the video, leave a comment or like. Always nice to have you here. So I'm going to go ahead and look at Pro Tools first here. And I can tell I'm on Pro Tools first because up here, that's what it says. I just switched to it. Now, when you open Pro Tools first of all, obviously, if you don't have it installed, you're going to have to go to the Avid website and do everything that they ask you to do. You have to be signed in to do it. And so I've already done that stuff. I've got Pro Tools first open so we could save a little time. And I'm going to start out by going to the File menu and choosing Create New. Pro Tools First, being a free program, it doesn't have all of the features that the full Pro Tools has. And one of the features it doesn't have is being able to incorporate video. So we're not going to use it for that. We're going to be doing some editing for video without having the video there, and that's okay because you're going to see in a minute the hypothetical situation for the assignment didn't really require it. I'm going to name the project according to the class naming standards. That's first initial, last name. I'm using mine. Obviously, if you're a student, you're going to use your first initial and last name, and following it right after by the project name, which is GE. If you have versions, you can write the version number. I don't right now. Very important. I have decided to let you guys know I think it's better for our purposes not to back up to cloud and to back up locally on your computer. Not that it's going to do you much good because it's backed up. It's nice to have it backed up on your computer, but I have noticed it kind of cuts down on the bandwidth because if you're backing up to cloud, it seems to me that Pro Tools First is constantly kind of tugging at the apron strings of the cloud, and it kind of cuts into the bandwidth a little bit. So it slows things down for me, and maybe that's the case with you. So I always need to remember to uncheck this preference because as soon as you start a new project, it always comes with this checked. So I need to always remember to uncheck it. I'm going to click Create, and that opens up a new session. Now, there are some preferences that are remembered. In my case, I like to have this thing here. This is what they call the transport. And if you grow to get addicted to it like I have, and it's not showing, you just go to the Window menu and select transport. If I had a keypad, I would use that keyboard equivalent, but I don't. I'm using a small Mac keyboard that doesn't have the keypad. So there it is. I like having it because you can press play and record and all that kind of stuff and do some stuff with music. Speaking of music, this counter is showing bars and beats. And as we're going to see in a minute, this is not really useful for this project because we're not exactly doing music. We're doing audio that has to adhere to minutes and seconds. So up here in the counter, I'm going to click this little arrow, and instead of bars and beats, we need to select minutes and seconds. And now that's what we have. If you press play, obviously, you're not going to hear anything because there's nothing in our session yet. I'm going to switch now to our learning management system. And I've already logged into the course site. What we use is Blackboard, mdc.blackboard.com. If you're not registered for the class, you won't be able to get here. But this is what I call the assignment page, and it's got all the information about this assignment. which you can read, but I decided to go ahead and make this video so that you would have another way to learn it. What I did was I created a hypothetical situation, pretty realistic in my opinion. You've been hired by a digital marketing agency, and their client is GE, formerly known as General Electric. They are creating a 15-second video for the Instagram page of GE, and they're trying to be all edgy and cool, and it's showing a new dishwasher that's supposed to be very quiet. So they wrote some copy, and because the world is messed up and disorganized sometimes, the shoot got scheduled, and they still haven't received approval for the line that they liked, which is this one here, the preferred one. The new GE dishwasher, it's not silent, but it's pretty damn quiet. And their legal department was kind of wondering, well, maybe that might be problematic. That word damn. They wanted it edgy, but they need permission from the client. They haven't gotten it yet, and they have to do the shoot. So what they decided is we're going to record with the actor, the talent, as they say, saying that line, and then we'll kind of cover our butt and record these alternate lines just in case. So that's what was done. There's some other facts here, but right now I'm just going to go ahead and lead you through what I think we need to do. First thing I'm going to do is download this file here. It's a zipped folder. And now I think it's in my downloads area, which I'm going to open. Downloads. There it is. There's the zipped folder. And I'm going to double click on it to unzip it. And now it's accessible. And there are the 3 files in here that we need for our session, or project, as Pro Tools First is calling it. And here's our project, our kind of blank session window here. So if I can arrange this window from the Finder, it's real easy. I just go in here and select these 3 WAV files that came from that shoot and click them all, and drag them right in here to this light gray area and just drop them there. And handy dandy, Pro Tools, what they figured out is it's doing some of the work for you. So you got 3 tracks here. It figured out that these are mono WAV files, and we always like to use WAV files or something high quality, because when you're doing audio for video, you want to have something reliable like that for archive and just for production use. Not MP3. You really want to avoid MP3. That's not really good for video. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to mute these first 2 because I want to hear the GE voiceover. I'm going to rewind. Well, I already did rewind, and I'm going to play. The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's pretty damn quiet. That is the preferred line. And what they're looking for is 15 seconds. They want a mix of 15 seconds. Now, what happened here? We don't have 15 seconds. At the end of this thing, it's short. So it needs to be extended to 15 seconds. I'm going to actually rename the track. And I'm going to call this Preferred Take, because that's the one they want. But we're not done. Now, what was good about the session was that the person who was doing the recording, that created these recordings, recorded this line, and they also recorded some room tone. It's always really important to do when you're involved in audio on a shoot. Get some clean room tone or ambient sound or whatever you're going to call it without anybody talking. That's not always easy on a shoot because a lot of times they're in a hurry to break that particular setup and go to another location or something like that. But if you get 15 seconds, that's great. You know, quiet on the set or whatever you feel like saying. And here I'm going to play now just the room tone sound track. I've got the other two muted. And you can hear, I keep getting an overload, but that's okay. You can hear that the person who was recording it had the microphone in the same place. They just had everybody be quiet for a minute, and the dishwasher was still running. The idea is the dishwasher, they had a special dishwasher with a clear front, and they're illustrating that the dishwasher is actually running, so you can see the water sloshing around inside, and the dish is getting clean. The actor's standing in front of it. He's talking. You're hearing the dishwasher, but it's not loud. It's kind of reasonable, and that's really what they're selling. Well, here's what we need to do. I'm going to actually hold down, and you can do this with a right click. I believe it's the Option key. Drag. Oops, no. Let me unselect everybody. Drag it down here, and what that does is it creates a clone of this clip here and brings it down here. Option, click and drag. I'm going to zoom in now because I also heard a little detail. I'm wearing some pretty good professional earbuds. You could be using just some decent headphones and you probably hear it. I'm going to zoom in. I actually accidentally zoomed out. I noticed that at the end of this first clip here, somewhere here at the end, there's like a little bumpy sound, and we can't hand in to our client or to me as your professor something that it hasn't been checked for quality. Let me zoom out just a tiny bit so I can see the end here. And I'm going to play it again. I'm going to now unmute this one and mute this room tone one and play it from the beginning. Rewind. The new GE dishwasher. Let me try this again. The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's pretty damn quiet. I don't know if you heard it, but right at the end of this clip here, there's a little bump. I can hear it. And what I need to do is zoom in and see if I can actually see it, because that can be helpful. Let me kind of cue it up right around here. Quiet. I think I'm seeing it right here. I think that's it. This little waveform here. I'm going to actually take the grid off because we really don't need the grid right now. And put it into slip mode. And you're going to see what that does. I'm going to now grab this tool here, which is the trim tool. And I'm going to go to the end of the clip, click and drag, and just kind of go right past that visual cue that gives me where that bump occurred. And I'm going to rewind a little bit by clicking up here in the timeline and just play the end of it. But it's pretty damn quiet. That's pretty good. I've got the T here. Can't lose the T. But I don't have the bump. Now what I'd like to do is zoom out a tiny bit, grab my grabber tool, and pull the room tone right close to that. And I may need to zoom in again to get a nice little area of overlap, sort of. Something like that. Let me hear what that sounds like. Oops. Quiet. And you can hear it goes pretty smoothly from the voiceover to the room tone. The reason we need that room tone there is because somewhere in here on the word "it's," the camera is going to go from the shot that was showing the talent standing in front of, or sitting, I don't know what, in front of the dishwasher to some B-roll or some other stuff. But it's assumed that you're still in front of this. So you're going to hear that very quiet dishwasher sound. I'm thinking that just to be safe, you might want to do a little crossfade. Pretty damn quiet. I don't hear a pop, but just to be safe, I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. Sorry. I'm still in slip mode. Now I'm going to grab the selector tool, and I'm just going to select a tiny bit of the end of the first clip and the beginning of the second clip. If I do, oops, not that. Well, maybe that was it. No, but I don't know. I did something wrong. I think if I do this, I'm going to reselect it again. A little bit of the first clip and at the end, and a little bit of the second clip at the beginning. Maybe it's Control F, I believe. Well, that's not it. It's somewhere up here. Where is that fade? Somebody moved my cheese. Is it Command F? Yeah, okay. Well, that's what it used to be. I just forgot. And it brings up the crossfade thing. Command F on my Mac. Clicking OK. All right. So I did something wrong. And I'm going to go ahead and say adjust bounds. That's fine. And let's hear what that sounds like. Let me go ahead and rewind. The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent. Okay, I'm having overload issues, but this happens. One more time. The new GE dishwasher. Oi. One more time. The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's pretty damn quiet. Okay, that's good. And unfortunately, I'm hearing a click there. So let me just double check. Pretty damn quiet. Okay, it was just the computer crapping out. I'm going to save Command S just because I want to make sure not to lose anything. And the program does seem to run a lot faster when you're not backing up to the cloud. So that's good. All right, for now, I'm okay. All right, so preferred take. I'm going to start out with this as kind of like a default here, because the whole first part of this, as you can see in the assignment page, it kind of explains what you need to do. And I'm not going to kind of repeat it because that's not necessary. What we have here are a bunch of alternate takes that were done at the same shoot, but in a quieter environment. And they were done wild, as they say. Meaning it was just off the cuff without any reference of time or anything. So I'll play it from the beginning. It's pretty darn quiet. It's pretty darn quiet. And you can hear there's no, I mean, there is some room tone there because they used, I guess, a similar space or something, but the dishwasher isn't running. At least you got the alternate takes. So the first alternate is this line that says, it's pretty darn quiet, instead of it's pretty damn quiet or whatever it said. Yeah. All right, so we've got this one here. I'm going to click here on the track name, preferred take. And what I'm going to do is go to the track menu and say duplicate. And I'm just going to leave this the way it comes defaulted. And I've got a kind of a clone of this track. I'm going to unmute it. Actually, not yet. I'm going to rename it. That's the first thing I'd like to do because I don't want to get all confused. And this track I'm going to name alternate line 1 by double clicking on the title of the track, the name of the track, alternate line 1. Okay, so I'm going to kind of audition these wild ones again.
Pretty darn quiet.
You hear the second one?
It's pretty darn quiet. It's really quiet.
Okay, that's the alternate 2. So it's between these two. I want you guys to decide which one you like the best. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. You do not have to do the edit this way, but I'm going to show you a trick that a lot of people may not think about. So really just, I don't have to be that perfect with this. I'm just going to decide on the first one. Just kind of grab this whole area here using the selector tool in slip mode, so I can just be very, I don't have to stick to the grid. And I'm going to copy this region. And somewhere around here, in fact, I can sort of move this room tone out of the way for now. And I guess maybe with the selector tool again, I'll just like select somewhere and paste it. So I'm not listening to anything anymore. I want to mute this alternate text track and unmute alternate line 1 and kind of hear what I have here.
It's pretty darn quiet.
And there's a noise at the end there. We'll fix that in a second. But I'm going to show you a trick that may not occur to you in the middle of this thing.
But it's pretty damn quiet.
Sometimes I've learned that if you make your edit, your in and out, on a syllable like it's, that S sound, it's almost impossible to hear the edit. Now, we'll see how that works out. So I'm going to grab the trim tool and see if I can find on here where the it's is.
But it's pretty damn quiet.
Let me start here.
It's pretty darn quiet.
So there's the it's. And you can actually see the waveform, I believe.
It's pretty.
I think the S sound is right around here. Let's see.
It's pretty darn.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Does that voice of the actor sound familiar?
It's pretty damn quiet.
And it looks like the S of this one, the it's, is right around here. Let me see.
But it's pretty.
Yeah.
But it's pretty damn quiet.
Okay, so I'm going to go here and trim this one backwards to where I think the it's is more or less. I might have given it a little bit too much room, but we'll see. There I have this one and sort of put the S of the it's where I think it should go. See what happens. Oops.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
That sounds decent. It sounds natural. If you don't want to cut there, you can cut somewhere else. You just have to have the full line. But it's pretty darn quiet. Don't be missing any words. You have to have all the words. So you need to go back and double check your script and make sure that on the alternate line, you have the whole line. The new GE dishwasher, it's not silent, but it's pretty darn quiet. The first one we didn't need to really operate on. All we needed to do was add the room tone at the end. You're going to see why in a few minutes. Might not be a bad idea to go in here and do a crossfade somewhere around here. We can do that. Selector tool. Just select a little bit here and see how forgiving it's going to be. Command F, and we'll play it.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
Now, it sounds good, but you can tell right away there's weirdness. When it goes to this clip here, what happens? The room tone drops out. Of course, because these ones were recorded without the room tone. And thank God we have the room tone, which is right here. Now, I'm not going to lay it on top of it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my grabber tool. Hold down the Option key, click on the room tone, and pull it, actually not down there, but I'm going to add, because that doesn't work, I'm going to go to the track menu, and I guess I could just say duplicate. I don't need this stuff, so I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to call this alternate line 1 room tone. And I'll just grab this nice little room tone and kind of eye it here and place it where it needs to be. Because this is the clip that was recorded wild from up here. I brought it down here, and this is the one that needs the room tone. So I'm going to mute this alternate 1 room tone track for a second so we can hear it all without the room tone.
The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's pretty darn quiet.
And you can hear how weird that sounds when the room tone drops out. I'm going to clean off this one before I unmute the room tone, because there's a bump on the end of this one too. Let's see exactly where it is.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
You can see it. It's right here, that little bump, that waveform. Up here, trim tool. We're still in slip mode. I go to the end of this clip and take out the bump. Let's hear it now.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
I kind of killed the T there a little bit. So maybe part of this waveform there is actually part of the T. Let's hear.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to kind of split the difference here. Let's see.
It's pretty darn quiet.
That might work. Let's see. I'm going to bring in the room tone and see if that does it.
It's pretty darn quiet.
What happened with the room tone? I'm not hearing it. Am I? Yeah, I am. I think I am.
It's pretty darn quiet. It's pretty darn quiet.
Let me actually get rid of this little selection here and keep going.
It's not silent, but it's pretty darn quiet.
There's something about that T that's bugging me. It sounds like it's getting cut off. So let me zoom in and give it a little more. Right here. I think it's just getting chopped. So let me keep a little bit of what looks like the noise.
It's pretty darn quiet. It's pretty darn quiet. It's pretty darn...
Yeah, this is nasty. What I'm going to do is see if I can fade this. And I'm just going to do Command F, do a fade out, and see if that works.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
Not happy. I am not happy. I'm hearing what sounds like just a noise. So I'm going to try and trim it a little bit more. And if not, I've got an idea. Oops.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
Yeah, I'm not happy. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom out. Before I do anything drastic, I'm going to see if that other wild take is cleaner at the end.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
Wait, I'm not listening to it. Unmute the wild alternate takes and mute this one that I'm working on. And let me see.
Pretty darn quiet.
That has a thud too.
It's really quiet.
Well, I've got a different idea. I wonder if I'm getting a little too intense here, but I'm always striving for perfection. We've got one that we kind of like already. Well, I do, which is this one, the preferred take.
Quiet. But it's pretty
Oops.
quiet. But it's pretty.
Ah, I have to kill the wild takes.
But it's pretty damn quiet.
Overload. One more time.
But it's.
Boy, this is getting very ponderous.
But it's pretty damn quiet.
Yeah, I like that one. That one is nice and clean. So let me see if after damn, I can get this last quiet. It's right here, I believe.
Quiet.
Yeah. I'm going to grab this, select it, copy, and kind of just do a rough paste here. Actually, let me move it out of the way because I'm going to trim this one so it doesn't stick out. I like to grab each tool by itself. I don't like to use the mode where it's got the multi-tool or whatever that's called. All right, let me hear it. I'm going to unmute this, mute the preferred take. Always got to keep track of which track I'm listening to.
It's pretty darn quiet.
Oh, wrong place. Here's where it goes.
Quiet.
Okay, I think that's cool.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
All right, it's too late. You can see that this little, let me zoom in because sometimes the visuals actually give you all the cues. I think this little waveform that starts here corresponds to this one here. So I'm going to try and move it more or less where that is. I may have to trim this. We'll see.
But it's pretty darn. But it's pretty.
Oi.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
That sounds pretty smooth. I am pretty happy with that. Okay, now I'm going to unmute the room tone and hear that last part of the line.
Silent, but it. Silent.
This is getting me a little frustrated.
Silent, but it's pretty darn quiet.
All right, I'm pretty cool with that. I think that's okay. Save. All right, zooming out. I can get rid of all this extra stuff. And we'll clean all that up. So now we've got alternate line 1 and its accompanying room tone. Great. So I think, I'm trying to think of what would make sense. I'm going to click on alternate line 1 and hold down the shift key and also select the room tone that goes with it. Oops. And when I go control, no. Yeah, actually that's good. Control on one of them, and I do duplicate, it copies both of them, I believe. So this one I'm going to double click on and rename alternate line 2. And the room tone that goes with it, I'm going to rename alternate line 2 room tone. Great. All right. So just so I can get oriented here, I'm going to, even though I know it's the same as alternate line 1 right now because I just cloned them, just let me play it. Pretty colors.
But it's pretty darn. But it's pretty. But
it's getting slow. Maybe it's the addition of the tracks.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
All right, so this one is supposed to say, but it's really quiet. And that, now I have to mute these and go back to this, what I'm calling the alternate takes, and find it's really quiet.
It's really quiet.
All right, not bad.
It's really quiet. It's really quiet.
That last one doesn't seem to have as much of a thud at the end, so maybe I can grab this one. Up here, the selector tool. More or less like that. It doesn't have to be exact because I can always trim it. I selected that region more or less.
It's really quiet.
Yeah.
It's really quiet.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm going to grab all the stuff, copy, mute, scroll down. Somewhere around here, I'm going to paste it in. Unmute this. Get this guy out of the way. And let me hear what I got.
It's pretty darn quiet.
Oops. Start here.
It's really quiet.
Yeah, so it starts with it's.
But it's pretty darn quiet.
And the it's is somewhere around here. All right. Grabbing my little Mickey Mouse hand, the grabber tool. Get rid of these clips. Pull this one over here. And let's see if we can make this work somehow. It's got to say, but it's really quiet. That's the line.
It's really quiet.
Okay, I don't want the it's part of the I need to get rid of that because it doesn't sound natural. Trim tool.
It's really quiet.
Zoom in, see if I can find like the S. I think it's here. The S part of the it's.
It's really.
Yep, I think that'll work. And we need to get that somewhere around here, I believe. We'll see. Okay, zoom out.
It's not silent. It's not silent, but it's really quiet.
Kind of ate up the
But it's really quiet.
I got lucky. Save.
But it's really quiet.
And now I'll unmute the mute room tone. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Sorry. What it sounds like.
It's not silent, but it's really quiet.
I can live with that. And this one I didn't really have to clean off because there doesn't seem to be a thud there. Although there's no harm done trimming it up a little bit. Let's see. Maybe there is. We'll see.
It's really quiet.
Okay. Rewind. Zoom out. Let's hear alternate line 2.
The new GE dishwasher. It's not.
Oh my goodness.
The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's real.
I'm just going to start here. Oops. Undo.
It's not silent, but it's really quiet.
Pretty smooth. And you hear the room tone that we need. Okay, save. So I've got everything I need to do. The next step to deliver to your client what they want is to create stereo wave files of each one. Let me move this guy out of the way down here. I can actually zoom out a little bit here like this so that more stuff can fit. I can still have my security blanket, the transport window. So I'm going to start first by unmuting. Actually, I'm going to keep this one muted. In fact, I can move this down to the bottom if I want to by clicking on the handle and just dragging it down there, because I don't need that alternate takes thing and I don't need the room tone. In fact, I believe if I go here, like control click on the name of the track and say make inactive, you can see it goes into italics and the clip turns gray. Same thing here. I'm not using these tracks anymore. I don't need to hear them. And by making them inactive, maybe that, oops, I'm going to undo that. I didn't mean to hide it. I still want to see it, but I'm going to just say make inactive. Now I believe, if I'm correct about this, that now Pro Tools First knows that it's not in danger of me like hitting the mute button and unmuting it. So I believe it's going to take up a little less of the processing by kind of making that inactive. And so maybe that annoying warning will stop coming up as much. Okay, so I've got the room tone up here. I can make that one inactive. I did that already. Somehow it's up here at the top. And now I just noticed that something disappeared. That's all right. I've got the preferred take. I've got alternate line 1 and its room tune, and I've got alternate line 2, and that's the one that I made inactive by accident. So I'm going to make that one active, and this is the room tone that goes with that. Okay, I'm oriented now. Great. So everything is muted except for the preferred take. Let me see if I can play it from the beginning.
The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent,
And it's still giving me
but
the
it's
CPU.
pretty damn quiet.
Okay, I think this is going to work anyway. Okay, so we're going to do a mix, a bounce, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to go now and go back to the grid mode from Slip. This is very important because what I'd like to do is my client asked for, or your client, exactly 15 seconds. And because we have the counter here, we can see in the ruler, the timeline, where 15 seconds is. And I believe if I take this thing, the selector tool, and you don't even have to be careful about it because it automatically adheres to the grid when you're in that mode. I'm paranoid, so I'm going to check up here that I did actually select the correct region. It starts at 0 and ends at 15. The length is exactly 15. I think this is going to work. Let's give it a try. When you go to the File menu, you can choose Export. And we're going to say Audio Mix. The source is my output. Now, you're going to see my output in these tracks is probably different than yours because I have some stuff hooked up to the computer. Like I've got an interface which you may not have. So yours probably says mix 1 and 2, and it probably says it here too. That's what you want. Whatever your mix that you've been listening on, that's going to be the source for your mix down. It's a WAV file. That's very good. Interleaved, which means that instead of left and right being separate files, which you really never want in a stereo mix, even though there's nothing stereo about this, it's all panned down the center, but still, it's possible that it could be going to some kind of editing software where maybe it gets a little picky about having a mono file and somebody has to be careful to make sure that it's panned to the middle. So rather than make that mistake, we're just going to create a stereo file. That's what the client asked for anyway, but it's interleaved, foolproof. I'm going to leave everything else at the default. I'm going to name this file first initial last name GE, and I'm going to add on to it preferred take. Where am I going to send it? All right. It's got a folder there set up. For now, I'm not too happy with that, so I'm actually going to cancel. No, I don't have to. I can just send it to the desktop or something. That'll work. So I'm going to click choose. This is even better because I can go to the desktop, and down here before I start bouncing, I'm going to click new folder, and I'm going to call this first initial last name GE mixes. And you can do that too. So I'm creating a new folder in my Mac. And now everything that I mix is going to go here. Click open. And now I'm ready to export. And let's see if this works. It's kind of like a real-time thing. Before I go any further and waste any more time, I'm going to navigate to that folder I just created on the desktop and open it. I guess I'm in alphabetical order, so I have to look for there it is, the folder. Double click, and on a Mac, when I double click on this, I believe it's going to open up in iTunes.
The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's pretty damn quiet.
Perfect. And then, of course, it goes to some other song. I'm excited because I'm getting done with it. All right. So now I am muting the preferred take, unmuting the alternate take 1, and its accompanying track, which is the room tone where it needs to be. I have to reselect the region, which is like that. Oops, not like that. I think it's probably better just to do it like this, even though it doesn't matter. But I think what's going to happen is, because these are the unmuted ones, those are the only ones that are going to go to the mix. But I just had to make sure that this says 15 seconds. And as you can see in iTunes, we're going to see it again in a minute. When you bounce this, iTunes knows it's exactly 15 seconds. File, export, audio mix. We're doing this. We're pros already. Everything stays the same. The only thing that changes is I'm going to take this and change the name of it to alternate take 1. Same place, export, zip. All right. And now I'm here. And of course, I'm a little bit paranoid. And I always want you to be too, because you never want to send anything to me as a professor, but even more your client, that you haven't done quality control on and checked it, because it's really not a good idea. So I'm going to double click this one and open it in iTunes and hear it. And if you're not on a Mac, you'll do the PC thing.
The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's pretty darn quiet.
Not crazy about that T, but for now, that would get a perfect score. So, all right, great. Finally, the alternate line 2. Gonna mute the 2 tracks for the alternate line 1 and unmute these 2. Same region. In fact, I'm not even gonna reselect it. All I did was, having this selected here is not the controlling factor, because these are muted. So the mix that we bounce are gonna be the ones that you're hearing, these ones that are unmuted. File, export, audio mix. We're going to change the name of this from alternate take 1 to alternate take 2. Same place, export, zap, and of course we're going to go here and hear audio take 2 in iTunes.
The new GE dishwasher. It's not silent, but it's really quiet.
Pretty good. Could have been better.
And then he...
All right, so wonderful. There we go. Now you're ready to submit it. If it sounded like that, you get a perfect score. I'm going to save my session. I saved it. Now I'm going to go back to the assignment page, because this is where you submit it. And you're going to actually, in order to submit it, we're not in this mode. I'm going to cancel here. Go back to the assignment folder. And where it says GE, you click on the title of it. And actually, it was the right place. I'm sorry about that. You have to scroll down, and I wasn't seeing it. So here in this bottom part, You don't really need to write anything here. If you want to, you can. I'm not done. This folder for the GE mixes, it has to be zipped because you can't back anything up. And I do suggest whatever you can do, you're going to back it up to your Google Drive or something. Right click on it, or in my case, since I don't have a mouse, I've got a trackpad, control click, compress, and that creates that zipped folder. So this folder that I created with the 3 WAV files in it that are the stereo mixes that my client asked for, are not, it's the same folder, but this one is zipped. It's kind of like sealed up, made safe for the internet. Because if not, if you're just sending a folder, it usually doesn't work. In this case, I want to be sure. So there's nothing wrong now because it's just like kind of like one big file that the server can understand. In this case, go back here, click on Browse My Computer, click on that zip folder that I just created, open. There it is. It's attached, but I'm not done yet. There's one last thing that I want you to do. Now, I showed you how to use Pro Tools first to do this. If for some reason you cannot do that or something happens, you got to get it done anyway. So if you want to use something else, you can. I'm not going to stop you from it because that would be limiting. And the point is, let's not make excuses. Let's just get it done. Whatever you used, whether it's Pro Tools first, I don't know, Adobe Audition, Audacity, which is a free program that you can use, and it would work probably just as well as this one does. There's a bunch of audio programs out there. Even if you have Premiere Pro and you want to do your audio editing on there, if you can do this fine-tuning kind of stuff and do something similar to what I did here with the audio tracks, I don't care. I'm not going to make you send me the whole session or anything like that because it's complicated. And we don't need that. All I need you to do is either make a QuickTime movie of the session. It doesn't have to be playing everything because I'm going to hear your WAV files. That's how I'm going to check out the audio quality. I just want a confirmation of how you achieved it. So even if you want to grab a mobile device and take a 5 or 10 second shot of your computer screen and upload that along with this file, that's fine. When you're done, you click submit. I'm not going to do it now, but as long as you get this done by the due date, which this semester it's showing it up here, and that's always in the calendar for the class. I think we're done. Thanks for hanging in there. I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, if you like what you're hearing and seeing on this channel, Palo TV, then subscribe and click the little bell so that whenever I upload something, even if it's not for sound design, you might enjoy it. Take care. Be well. I'll see you soon. This is Steve Roitstein saying adios.